28 Days Later is hands down one of the scariest movies of all time. What's up, you guys? It's Jonathan Carter, and today we are on our first episode of the road to 28 years later with the first entry, 28 Days Later. For those of you that don't know, 28 Days Later is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's actually my second favorite movie of all time, right below The Shining. So if you can't tell from these two movies, I am a really big horror fan. And when they finally announced 28 years later, I was so incredibly hyped just from my love of this first movie. I think from the development, since this movie came out 28 days later, it really has amassed this cult following. And while the sequel 28 weeks later that we will talk about next week does stumble a lot more than this original film, just the fact that director Danny Boyle and writer Alex Garland are coming back for 28 years later as this creative team just has me so incredibly hyped. I can overlook 28 weeks later and that does not deter my hype and love and everything that I have for this movie series solely based off of 28 Days Later, and the fact that I am just so incredibly excited for 28 years later. Also, if you're new here, I did just go through every single Mission Impossible movie in a Road to series. I'll put a playlist up here somewhere, and I'll also put that at the end of the video. Also, please be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok for shorter versions of reviews, and Spotify for podcast versions of reviews if podcasts are more your thing. And right before we get into this review, let me know your thoughts on 28 Days Later below in the comments and your excitement level for 28 years later. With that being said, without further ado, let's jump into the review. So, like I said right at the beginning of this video, 28 Days Later is my second favorite movie of all time, right behind The Shining. And that is for so many different reasons. One of the biggest reasons, solely whoever came up with the idea of zombies, but let's make them fast, absolutely cooked. I will not, to this day, I will not watch 28 Days Later alone, and I am 27 years old. Let that sink in. I first watched this movie when I was 12 years old, and literally 15 years later, I will still not watch this movie alone. What sets 28 Days Later apart from just your other run-of-the-mill zombie movies and also just horror movies in general is, like I said, the premise of zombies, but let's make them fast. I know they're not zombies, I'm sorry, infected, but let's make them fast. Again, just makes for a very terrifying premise where you can't, outrun these infected people. They are these aggressive people that are infected with the rage virus.
I can see them, they're coming! Ah!
The plot of this movie starts with these scientists, researchers that have infected these chimpanzees with what they call the rage virus in order to understand exactly what rage is, what creates war, and they want to essentially cure it.
They've been given an inhibitor.
Infected with what?
In order to cure, you must first understand.
Infected with what?
And they are doing animal tests on chimpanzees with this rage virus. At the beginning of the movie, people break into the research lab, get infected by the chimpanzees, and then 28 days later, all hell breaks loose. Now, just solely with that premise, where the movie takes us, a young Cillian Murphy, who turns in a fantastic performance in this movie, wakes up in a hospital and realizes that England is absolutely deserted.
Hello?
No, don't like that.
Waking up and wandering through an empty, isolated, abandoned city absolutely terrifies me to my core, and I have never seen anything else on that scale done in a horror movie since 28 Days Later. So just the scale alone of this movie just makes you feel like this is a terrifying pandemic apocalypse virus that has taken over the world. And also just that first scene of where Cillian Murphy's character Jim walks into the church and you just see the pile of bodies, and then those zombies just sit up when he says hello.
Hello?
Yeah. I'm not getting any sleep tonight. But eventually, where the story goes, once you get over the fact that these infected people are incredibly terrifying, you get a more, what I love about this movie is it's a more hopeful, Jim finds this group band of people and they try to survive and figure out what that means to live in this apocalypse and learn to work with one another and just not be isolated, cold-hearted.
It isn't true what Dad said. You need us just the same as we need you. We need each other.
Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, this movie does not look good, like on a cinematography level. It's no secret that the production team did not have a big budget for this movie, and so they kind of cut corners in their filmmaking, and the movie, like, again, does not look good. They're doing a 4K release of this movie, which I have bought already, pre-ordered, that hopefully might upscale it to 4K, but I don't know exactly how they're going to do that because this movie, it doesn't look good. I've also heard that the Blu-ray looks better, but I haven't seen the Blu-ray. But the Blu-rays online are going for like $140 or something insane on eBay. But I do have a physical copy of just the normal DVD right here. Here's my... whatever that voice crack was, I don't know. So hopefully, like, the 4-scale remaster of this movie does kind of fix these issues. That remains to be seen. Maybe I'll do a review on it once I get the 4K. And yes, where the story goes in the third act with the military and repopulating the world and the whole, like, sexual assault storyline, I'm not the biggest fan of that. There is actually a bonus feature commentary on the DVD that I'm sure you can find online of writer and Alex Garland and director Danny Boyle talking about an entirely different third act that they had for this movie that didn't involve the military at all, and they kind of did like hand illustration drawings and put that together. It's a really, really cool commentary on the DVD. Definitely look it up online if you haven't seen it. But even shoddy camera work or production level and a kind of third act that veers off just a little bit but kind of brings it back together to a more hopeful meaning at the end is not enough to deter me from absolutely adoring and loving this film. Movies like this are why I wanted to create this movie review channel or just review channel, because there are so many things in film that just resonate with me, and I feel like people can just come together on with this love of movies and different types of genres and meaning and emotion in movies. And this one, 28 Days Later, for all of these reasons, just of never before, like been done before type of horror, an incredible performance from Cillian Murphy and other cast members as well, and then this more like hopeful meaning at the end, and it's more a story about people coming together instead of trying to destroy each other in the apocalypse, really just makes for a movie that has absolutely stood the test of time for me. So wrapping this up with the verdict, essentially everything I just said of this movie being my second favorite movie of all time. I just absolutely love it. I could watch it again and again and again. Not alone though. But in the 15 years that I have first saw this movie when I was 12 years old, I have absolutely loved it, will always love it. I just recently was lucky enough to see this movie in theaters when they did the re-release of it, and it was just, again, didn't look, like, camera work didn't look great on the big screen, but seeing it in a packed, sold out theater for the first time on the big screen was just... it was amazing. I'm so grateful I was able to see this movie in theaters. I am so incredibly excited for 28 Years Later. And all that being said, I'm going to give 28 Days Later a 9 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching my review. Let me know your thoughts on 28 Days Later in the comments. Do you love this movie as much as I do? Are you a little more mixed on it? Let me know your hype level for 28 Years Later. I'm absolutely so excited for that movie. Please be sure to like and subscribe, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I will see you all on the next